but had this really awesome trip. I mean, we rented mopeds, we rode around the island, we just did some really amazing things, had an awesome trip. And a year later, I would say memorable restaurant that I've been to, and I've been on this trip twice now, and still to this day, like I would go back in a heartbeat, is the Augustiner Brewery in Munich, Germany. I've gone to Oktoberfest twice over an extended period of time. I think I went a little more than 10 years apart, and both times went to that same brewery. And it's just, you know what? Again, it's the duck. Like they had duck there, but their beer is incredible, and their food is just delicious, and it's not crazy priced, and just a really cool experience to go there.
All right. Well, many years ago, BB, that's before Bryce, I actually went to on a 2-week like educational tour of Europe with a bunch of other people. And, you know, I did Paris and like somewhere in Switzerland and all this stuff. But the place I remember the most is Germany. I went to Munich, and I was with a bunch of teenagers at the time, so we didn't drink or anything. But the food was so good. I want to go back to Germany. It's like the one place that I've been that he has not been. Ooh. And I really want us to go together. Like one of our favorite places to eat is like the German buffet at Epcot.
Ooh. Well, you know, have you been to I always call it, is it Hollerback Willow Tree in Sanford?
No, haven't been there.
Go there.
So I think it's called the Willow Tree. I think it's Hollerbach's Willow Tree. It's in Sanford, Old Town Sanford, but they actually for the next 4 weekends are doing what's called like Verse Festival, like bratwurst, but. Yes. But they do they normally do like a big Oktoberfest event where they shut down the streets and it's all outdoors. Obviously it's COVID, so they're not doing that this year, but they are still doing an event at their restaurant for Oktoberfest, which is, end of September, beginning of October.
And nice. I love a good bratwurst and a good stinky sauerkraut. Yeah. Right? Love it.
Who doesn't? And a nice beer. They serve Das Boot. Oh, yeah. You can actually get the boot full of beer.
So the funny thing is, when I grew up, I didn't drink until I was 21. I know everybody says that, but it actually is true in my case. The first time I was ever a little beyond tipsy, I was in Plymouth, England while I was in the military, and I was 21 years old. So, I didn't drink beer. You know, most people start out with beer because they start at an earlier age, especially in college, etc. I never really had that experience. So I tasted beer once I could drink, and I was like, or once I chose to drink, and I was like, this, I don't want this, because I was tasting, you know, Budweiser or whatever, but like. Yeah. I don't want this. I'll just go ahead and buy what I really want, which is, at that time, it was, I can't even believe I'm going to say this, but it was Bacardi rum. So my first experience of actually enjoying a beer, I came down to Orlando to visit my parents, and for whatever reason, I think they were doing something I wasn't able to get to them right away. I went to the mall that is right there by Baldwin Park, whatever it's called.
Okay.
And there was a German restaurant in there at that time. And I sat down and I ordered some kind of a kielbasa or something like that. And I just was like, you know what? I kind of feel like I need to have a beer with this. And it was amazing. It was a true German beer. The server made sure that I got something good. And it was just so light and crisp and perfect pairing. And it was at that point that I realized, wait a minute, there are actually beers out there that can actually taste good. And especially when you pair it with something. So from there, I've grown, and this beer was in Cozumel. Cozumel? Yeah, Cozumel.
I wasn't there.
No, that one.
Oh, I wasn't listening to you.
The one where we had the tacos.
Oh yeah, that's Cozumel.
Cozumel, yeah.
As usual, as a good wife, I wasn't paying attention. I was daydreaming. I was thinking about my hair, my nails, or lipstick, or something. Anyway, yeah, that was Cozumel.
The tequila's kicking in.
Shut up.
I like it.
Apparently, the bourbon's kicking in too. But I can't say kicking. I say ticking.
Yeah, I think so. Beer-wise, my sister is a cicerone, which is the sommelier equivalent of beer. And so it's really funny because she can tell you anything and everything there is to know about beer, and she ages her own beer, she does craft beer, all these crazy things. And then you have me, who's like, the crappier the beer, the better. Like, I all day long will drink the crappy beer, the light beer. As long as it's super cold and super refreshing, I am all about it. Like, I don't like, but what's funny is with German beers, I will drink the dark beers. So all of the Dunkels, the stouts, anything like that, like, I'm all about it. The German beers, I can drink the whole spectrum, but otherwise, I am like, my favorite beer is Rolling Rock, which is not a good beer. Like, it's terrible, but to me, it's great.
So we need to have your sister on the show. Definitely.
Yeah, she would be a blast.
So, I mean, is there any place else that you have to tell us about that you've been, so you can make us even more jealous about your amazing life?
That would be like food related.
I mean, I'm sure you've been to the Caribbean, right?
So what's funny about that is, yes, I have, but only once. I didn't go to the Caribbean until I moved here to Florida. Well, I mean, I've been a lot since I've been here. I guess the Caribbean would be Cancun. So I've been to Cancun a few times.
Yeah.
But Aruba, I did a cruise where we did like Cozumel, Honduras. There was another place, Belize. I did that. I struggled with the cruise because I hadn't been on a boat for a long time, and I didn't know I got seasick. So I have to figure out how to balance that.
Yeah, we all know it was the Pabst, or no, not Pabst Blue Road. What did you say? The Rolling Rock. Yeah, it was the Rolling Rock. It wasn't that you were seasick. Come on now.
It was the Rolling Rock. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Leave it to Carla.
My best friends in Vegas, they're all Hawaiian, and so they taught me that Rolling Rock in Hawaiian is ulu maika. So we used to say that all the time. Like, it was like, oh, more ulu maika. Nice. I mean, if you want like a really good memorable trip, Thailand was an amazing trip. I suffered the consequences years later from my carelessness and recklessness, but very cool experience. When I lived in Spain, I had studied abroad, and one of the guys, we became really good friends, and we became travel buddies. So we would go travel to random places and go on random trips. And he called me out of the blue one year and was like, "Hey, you want to go? My friend's living in the dorms, going to college in Thailand. You want to go visit him?" And I'm like, "Yeah, why not?" So hopped on a plane, flew out to Thailand, which was with the layover. We had to stop in Guam to get gas. So they didn't actually take you off the plane, but then you had a layover in the Philippines. So it was like a 28-hour trip to get there. And you're young, so it's like, whatever, I don't need to sleep, it's fine. And we stayed like on an air mattress on the floor in our friend's dorm room for part of it. But it was really cool because we go to Bangkok and you get to go to like all the places there are to go there and to see. And then our friend was living in the dorms with some other people. We became friends with all of them. We hung out with them. We did all these things. And then four of us, so him, me, his friend Luke that we were visiting, and then one of the guys from the dorms decided to go on like this couple day getaway to this little island that was a few hours away from where they lived. So I mean, I have like, I think I was showing you, like I have these pictures. I mean, it was a really cool time. We go to this island, hardly anybody there. There's a couple bars, you're staying at this resort, like all this crazy stuff, like doing all the things a careless, reckless, young, early 20s or mid 20-year-old person would do, because why not? You're traveling, and, you know, Taken wasn't out. I don't know if it was out yet or if I didn't see it. So I chose to avoid watching it, whatever it may be. But had this really awesome trip. I mean, we rented mopeds, we rode around the island, we just did some really amazing things, had an awesome trip. And a year later, I would say a little more than a year later, I'm like at the gym back home in Vegas, like run on the treadmill. Honestly, like I hadn't been to the gym probably in years. And that was like the day I decided to go to the gym. And I'm like, okay, like I'm going to get back in shape. This is fine. I'm going to do this. And I'm on the treadmill. And there's like 30 screens on the wall where they have everything. And all of a sudden this guy just starts showing up on all these screens in an Interpol vest. And they're streaming his name and everything. And I'm like, you know, like doing my thing, like, wow, that's so weird. That guy looks so familiar. And they're streaming his name underneath. And I'm like, huh, okay, like that name sounds familiar. And it turns out that it's Euron Vandersloot, who, as many people, not me, because I don't watch the news, so as many people were aware of at the time, was the main suspect in the kidnapping of Natalie Holloway from Aruba in 2005. So now we're talking 2009. He gets arrested for killing some girl in Peru, and come to find out, this is the guy that I spent a week with in Thailand the year before, that was living in the dorms with a friend of mine. So all of a sudden, you know, I'm like, this is why I don't go to the gym. Like, that didn't happen.
Wait a minute, time out. That's not how that logic doesn't really.
Yeah, no. That logic works.
See,
That,
thank you.
As
So
someone
it was like an emergency stop button, you know. I'm like, oh my God, stop! What is happening right now? And so I pull up, you know, Facebook is up and coming at the time, so I pull up Facebook and I click on this guy's profile, and literally the only photos on his profile are the pictures I tagged him on. So I'm like, oh my God, delete! Like FBI is going to show up on my doorstep. So it was just a wild thing to experience after the fact, to be like, what was I thinking? Like, this guy seems so cool. He just murdered apparently 2 people.
Oh, no.
I had no idea. And here I spent a week with him. We went on this tiny island, like all these different things. It was just crazy.
Wow. That is quite the story.
Yeah. You know, just be careful of who you spend time with in other countries.
Yeah, you got to be careful how you travel. That actually is a great pitch for using somebody like Carla for your travel.
Yes,
you know?
Right?
Use a travel advisor. You won't have to
guide you.
A serial killer.
Yeah. See, slogan right there.
There you go. So here's a question for you. If tomorrow you have an extra $1,000 a month in your personal budget, what would you do with it?
Oh, I would save it to travel.
I didn't really even have to ask that. I kind of suspected. I mean, I honestly think we've had some well-traveled people on the show, but I think you take the cake on this one.
Ooh.
Maybe Vanessa. Vanessa probably would give you a run for your money.
I guess I need to travel with Vanessa.
You need to at least watch the episode with Vanessa. Yeah. You know, the Hamptons. But so $1,000 a month, you do some more traveling, huh?
Yeah, I tell everybody I work to travel. I mean, that's what drives me. That's what I'm passionate about. Any chance I can get, whether it's to go out of more so to go out of the country. I haven't really traveled much in the United States, but
now's a good time to do that.
I know. I have been doing a little more of it. I just am so passionate. I love going to see other cultures. I love going to experience like new things. I'm definitely not a big museum person. Like to me, it's the experience that you have. So I'm not seeing all your traditional sites. I mean, when we went to Scotland last year, we went to Glasgow, and everybody goes to Edinburgh. That tends to be the place that everybody starts at because that's where, all the touristy things are. And so when we were in Glasgow, everybody would walk up to us, like people that live there, and they're like, "Why are you here?" And it was like, "Well, I don't know. Like we looked on a map and we picked here, and here we are." And they're like, "People don't just come here to visit. Like they're here because they work here or whatever it is, but we're not a tourist destination." And it was like, perfect. That's what I want. Like I want to be somewhere where I can immerse myself in the culture, be with the people, and experience the actual life, not the touristy things that you're going to see. So even if you go to a touristy city, I'm always trying to go off the beaten path and find something different to really get to experience it.
So how do you find the great restaurants?
I ask the locals.
Okay.
I'm a big Googler, so I Google everything ahead of time. And then literally we would stop people on the street and be like, "Where should we go? What should we do?" And on that trip, we would stop them and be like, "Where's the people our age?" But that's how I found that restaurant there, was because some lady was like, "Oh, you have to go to this street and there's this, like, this is the place you're going to want to experience." And to me, like, the people that are going to know the best are the people that live there. So
absolutely,
I have no problem talking to strangers. I mean, I sell real estate, so I have to talk to strangers all the time.
Yeah,
but I feel like getting to know people's personal recommendations has just really been awesome. And they do tell you like, well, this is really touristy, but if you really want something authentic, go here.
So that actually is a great segue. What here in Central Florida, what would you say is the one place, if clone you showed up at your doorstep and said, "Where should I go?" Where would it be? Where would you send that person?
Okay. So if I were to say like a fine dining place, I really like Christini's over in Dr. Phillips.
Right by Bar Taco.
Yeah. Yep. Right there. I think it's just that, to me, like their food's good, their cocktails are great, but also it's the whole experience. So to me, I don't want to just go somewhere and just have good food. Like I want to experience all of it. And to me, I mean, you walk in and it's the Italian, it's the white tablecloths, it's like 5 people waiting on you. Like your water doesn't even lose a sip. Like you drink it and it's full again. But that, to me, that whole experience is there. Eddie V's, obviously, that's one of my most favorite places. They're just, again, it's the experience. Like you get treated well, the food's just to die for. Silly enough, anything at Disney Springs, I think they kill it on the experience. So
right there with you.
Yeah, STK. I'm a big steak person, so I actually don't do seafood. But when it comes to steak, STK, hands down, all day long.
Baja girl is not. She doesn't like seafood.
No.
I mean, Baja. That's seafood.
I know, no, but I love me some good carne asada.
Okay.
Or carnitas.
So, interestingly, have you ever heard of Tasty Chomps?
No.
Okay, so Tasty Chomps is local. Ricky Lee started it. He started out with blogging and doing restaurant reviews. He's a local critic. And I just started working with him, and he sent me a list of questions. And he asked me, where would I send somebody here in Orlando or Central Florida? And my answer was 2 places. One, Winter Park, Park Avenue.
Yeah.
And specifically for a food and wine experience is what he asked. And 2 was Disney. And I actually split that one into two. I said, for one thing, you got to go to the Epcot Food and Wine Festival if you're staying there, you know.
Right.
And then the second thing I said was, you go to Disney Springs, you go to Wine Bar George, you have something like the flaming cheese and a nice glass of wine, and then you hop on a boat and go over to Port Orleans Riverside and eat at Boatwright's. And there you're going to have an amazing prime rib, or for somebody not you, shrimp and grits. And then when you're done with that, you grab the horse-drawn carriage, go over to Port Orleans French Quarter, and get you some beignets.
Ooh, I like it.
Perfect dinner, perfect night.
Heck yeah, that's awesome. I love it.
But I mentioned Park Avenue and Winter Park because we spent so much time there. You can start at one end and go to the other end, starting with the wine room, and you swipe the card and get your tastings, and they have actually amazing flatbread and some cheeses that you can have, you know.
Their pear and
on Morris. Was it Morris?
Morse.
Yeah, Morris, right behind Park Avenue, and love-hate relationship with Park Avenue. Food and everything is great, but I go to the wine room and I have all the little samples, and then I'm feeling all of the wine, let's say. And then we go to the spice and tea exchange or the ancient olive oil. And, you know, things like credit limit or bank balance no longer matter. And I just need all of it. Just all of it, you know.
Those olive oils are amazing.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And the balsamics.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The ancient olive oil, that's like crack.
There's one downtown Winter Garden, I think. I don't know if it's the same store. Same thing.
We're not going.
Oh my God, I love it. They have like that orange balsamic or whatever. Oh my God, it's so good. But yeah, at the wine room in Winter Park, they have that pear and brie cheese flatbread. Oh my God, that thing is like drool worthy.
Absolutely. And then on the complete opposite end is Boca, and they have amazing flatbread too.
They have, oh no, that's Boca. Okay, yeah. I was thinking, was it Booyah?
I'm not.
Bola. I think they.
Oh yeah.
That's how they. I think
that's not even on Park Avenue, right?
No. It's over on Orlando. The beer sangria. That's really good.
Wait, who? What?
Yeah, Bola. It's a beer sangria. Let me tell you, I don't know if they still do it, but they used to do on the weekends. It was like unlimited sangria from when they opened to like 4 for brunch. And that beer sangria is amazing.
I've never even heard of a beer sangria. Now I have to make it.
Oh, it's so good.
That's fascinating. We're going to have to recreate that.
It's really cool.
I'm fascinated.
It's very different.
So
I was gonna say,
our sangria.
Ooh, what do you put in it? That's
that one was white wine and I believe pears and
the watermelon.
Watermelon. Yeah, but we had pears or not pears, peaches.
Yeah.
It was peaches and watermelon.
Nice. I make a really good sangria.
Yeah.
I do the red one. But drinks, if you want like a very unique drink, when I lived in Spain, we went to this is one of those other, like, why was I okay with this at this time? But whatever. We did running of the bulls. So we went to Pamplona and you would party all night and then run with the bulls in the morning and then we would go home. And so while you're partying all night where all these people are out, random people would come up to you and pour drinks in your mouth because that's super safe and normal. And they had like we call them Boda bags. It's like a leather, like almost canteen, like a pouch that's made out of leather. And they would mix in them red wine and Coca-Cola. And and I'm telling you, it's actually very delicious. But they came up to us like you're just sitting there, random mix of people, and they're like, "Hey, here, have some of this," and they just pour it in your mouth, and you're like, "Oh, yeah, I'm young. I don't think about the fact that I could be drunk or die, but here I am drinking this random drink that somebody's pouring in my mouth." But that was, I still to this day, like, especially in the summertime when it's like, I really want wine, but I want it a little cooler, I'll throw some Coke in it, and it's super good.
That's crazy. It fascinates me how little I know. I mean, seriously, I never even would have thought about putting those
Me
two
neither. I would have never known if so.
I'm very curious now. Now,
You gotta try it. It's delicious.
I do want to mention for those that are listening on the podcast, just a moment ago, I talked about the sangria. We have an image behind us that you can check out on the YouTube page, or if you happen to decide to watch us on Facebook Live, I change out these images quite frequently to match whatever it is we're talking about. So sometimes it does pay off to actually watch the videos, and you get to see my goofy reactions too. Not that you want to see my goofy face, you'd rather see Carla, but you know.
I love it.
So anyway, I have one more very important question for you before I bring Carla on.
Okay.
I say cocktail, you say...
What do you, cocktail?
I say cocktail, you say...
Yes, please.
Oh, okay. Everybody has a different answer.
Oh,
so
okay.
I just thought I'd throw it out there. So we're going to bring Carla on and give her a chance to share some fun foodie facts. Would you stick around for a minute so I can talk to you a little bit after?
Absolutely.
All right, Emily. Thanks so much.
Hey guys, fun foodie facts. But first, does anybody else want to be best friends with Emily so they can travel with her? Because I do. I mean, Bryce can come if he wants to, but it's not really about him. Most like our marriage, it's all about me. Our list is going to be a little bit short today, but Emily is from Yucca Valley, California, which is in San Bernardino County. The very first McDonald's was in San Bernardino. And as a French fry lover, I would like to say thank you. Also in San Bernardino is the National Orange Festival held every spring. And you know what I make with oranges? Old fashions.
Ooh. That's a great drink.
And last but not least, Joshua Tree National Park is partially located in San Bernardino County. Joshua trees are actually a member of the agave family. And do you know what we get from agave?
Tequila.
Tequila, which I was drinking earlier. Actually, I was drinking mezcal, which is tequila's grown-up cousin.
Yeah, the smoked one.
Because I am fancy.
Do you know what my drunk name is?
What is your drunk name?
Takemily.
Takemily. I love it. My drunk name is Carla. Stop talking.
Oh.
Stop talking.
So, fun fact about where I'm from. Well, I don't know about there, but my family owned Del Tacos, which was a chain restaurant.
I love Del Taco.
Yeah, no, we don't have very many here. Another thing that if I'd have known that there wasn't that many, I don't know if I'd have been moved here, but the original.
I drive to go to it.
I know, and UCF, but I drive closer. Yeah. The original Del Taco is in Barstow, California, which is only an hour away from Yucca Valley.
So my fun foodie fact is that, did you know McDonald's, she was talking about the fries earlier and everything, did you know that it actually has nothing at all to do with anybody named McDonald's anymore? I said anymore.
Oh, anymore, I'm sorry.
Trying to jump in without knowing what I'm saying.
I did not know that.
Carla, stop talking.
Exactly. That's her nickname. Right. Drunk name. So anyway, yeah, believe it or not, Ray Kroc bought the McDonald's idea away from the McDonald's brothers and created what we know today to be McDonald's. So my question to you, Emily, is aren't you glad that the next time you go to McDonald's, you don't have to order a big crock?
I am.
So anyway.
Did you know that McDonald's is actually in the real estate business?
I do know that. And the second business that is so important to them, or it used to be, and it's gotten away from it, unfortunately, but the toy business. But yes,
from like the Happy Toys.
Yeah, it used to be huge. They made so much money because of those little toys. But yeah, real estate is very much what they do.
Yeah,
it's all about location, location, location.
And they buy all of their locations.
Yep. So anyway, Emily, thank you so much for being here tonight. You've been such a fun guest.
Thank you for having me. This is awesome.
I have a feeling we're going to actually have you back on, because my guess is you didn't even tell us about all of the places.
I did not.
We'll have to make sure you're better prepared next time, so you know a couple more names. But
yes, I will give you the names. I promise.
Yes, you're going to be in the Facebook group. You're going to share those names, and you're going to share with us that recipe for the beer sangria, right?
No, I don't know how to make it. I just know how to drink it.
Okay, well.
I make sangria, but I don't have a recipe. It's just how I make it. And every time it's different, and every time it's loved.
Well, we'll figure out how to make it.
That's the best way to make anything.
Exactly.
I don't think Bryce and I have had the same meal twice since we've been married.
See, you got to tweak it every once in a while. You got to mix it up.
All right, Emily, you have a great night. Thank you again for being here, and we look forward to seeing you inside the Facebook group.
Yes, thank you for having me. This was great.
If you like what we're doing here, hit subscribe.